Hey everyone, it's Josh Thomas here from thebitblock.com to take you through our magical video review of Disney Infinity on Wii U. Infinity is pretty unique because the basic concept of the game involves placing real character figures onto a base platform, which then sends that character into the video game world. Now, depending on which character you're playing with, you'll experience totally different things. The starter pack for Disney Infinity includes 3 figures, which basically means there are sort of 3 games in one here right out of the box. The Incredibles playset has you exploring a vast open-world cityscape. Metroville is of course being terrorized by all sorts of evildoers, and it's up to you to put a stop to it. This one is naturally filled with tons of action and combat. It's obviously a superhero-style game. You'll race through the streets, you can pick up and toss cars, battle against giant robots, and even save a bunch of escaped zoo animals. You know, typical day for a superhero. Now, if you're up for something a little bit more nautical, and I know I always am, Pirates of the Caribbean will definitely deliver on that. In this playset, you'll show up silly livers with your impressive sword skills, explore lush environments to solve puzzles, and of course, take to the salty seas for some really exciting battles with your ship. Things get pretty explosive when pirates are involved. Trust me, I know. And finally, Monsters University focuses a bit more on stealth gameplay. FearTech has ransacked your school grounds, so it's up to you to return the favor. You'll toilet paper trees, paint statues, erect Monsters University banners on their campus, and more. Of course, there's lots of sneaking up on monsters and scaring them with a big roar. The great thing about all these playsets is that they play out in a very non-linear fashion. While they do have a story to tell, you can wander off and explore at any time. And trust me, there's plenty of additional challenges to take on all over the place. So to put it more simply, The Incredibles offers up open-world combat. Pirates is a seafaring adventure, and Monsters University focuses on stealthy action. Each of these can be played solo or with another player. But if you want to play in multiplayer, you do need to buy an additional pack of characters. It's kind of a disappointment, but I guess there's really no other way to do it. When playing together, it's interesting how you can choose to help each other out, or you can go off into the world and do your own thing. I think this type of playstyle is really good for parents and kids, but it's also good for people who just like to game together. It's also worth mentioning that you can play online with your friends as well. I really love the gameplay here in Disney Infinity. Having so many games tied into one experience is a very unique feeling. It's nearly impossible to become bored here. I mean, there's so much to do, and there's such a variety in each playset. My personal favorite is Monsters University, but honestly, I kind of like them all. Now, before we get into discussing how the game looks, let's quickly talk about how the figures look. Their build quality is quite nice, and they have a good weight to them, so they don't feel, cheap and easily breakable. Each character is posed in a way that really expresses their personality. And because Disney Infinity features so many distinct universes, the designers have given every character a unique, kind of unified toy-like look. And in doing this, they've really brought vastly different worlds together in a way that works really well. The real-life toy figure is perfectly replicated inside of the game world. Now, visually, Disney Infinity is, I would say, a pretty nice-looking game. It won't exactly blow you away, but personally, I think it looks pretty good. It's actually quite unique to see a single video game offer up such entirely different worlds and characters in one experience. You can go from the exciting choppy waves of the sea to a colorful, monster-filled college grounds, and then over to an expansive, action-packed cityscape. The game does a nice job at capturing the characters and the worlds from their respective films. I do want to mention, though, that sometimes the technical side of Infinity can be a bit wonky. The frame rate is not bad, but you're sure to notice a few hiccups here and there. Also, I have encountered just a couple moments where a sound effect wouldn't stop playing, or a power disc and character weren't loading properly at first. These aren't big problems, but I do wish the game ran just a little bit more smoothly. Maybe an update in the future can work on this. In time, as characters and worlds continue to be introduced, this game could truly represent some fantastic variation from a visual standpoint. Yet another interesting aspect to having so many game worlds collide into one experience is that even the music has lots of variety. The soundtrack for each playset fits the world you're playing in, So Monsters University has a more laid-back, jazzy feel, whereas Pirates would be more adventurous and edge of your seat. And then meanwhile, The Incredibles features music you may hear in a big action film. For the most part, character voices are not the original actors. Instead, Infinity's characters are sound-alikes. It's something that, younger kids would never notice, but older players will likely pick up on it. Honestly, it's not a big problem, and everyone sounds close enough to the original voice actor. And finally, the power discs that bring in objects and new backgrounds can sometimes even give you new music tracks taken directly from the movie's soundtrack. This game has some pretty good audio. Each of the packed-in playsets will take you an average of about maybe 6 or 7 hours to complete. It's definitely going to depend on the player. So in total, you're easily looking at 20 hours of fun here. Hidden throughout every world are many special capsules, and when you collect them, you'll unlock additional content to be used in the game's Toy Box mode. These include vehicles, toy residents, props, terrain, texture packs, and so much more. So you'll want to really explore every nook and cranny of every playset. So what do you do with all this? Well, you can create and build your own worlds. Not only that, you can also create your own games inside of the Toy Box. Maybe a soccer match where you have to hit a giant beach ball into the goal with a toilet paper launcher. Or perhaps a challenge to see how fast you and your friend can scale a giant mountain. Or maybe a top-down racetrack with lots of silly obstacles. It may sound like a tagline, but you really are only limited by your own imagination. Arranging objects and bringing them together to make your own levels might kind of seem a little bit overwhelming at first, but trust me, after just a little bit of playing around, you'll get the hang of things. I will say, the interface could maybe be just a little bit smoother. There are honestly so many possibilities in the Toy Box. This mode alone could entertain you for years. And if you ever feel like you're in need of some new cool stuff to play around with, you can try your luck on the Disney Infinity Vault. So by spending tokens that you've earned in the playsets, you can spin a roulette. As you can see, there's plenty of really great content to unlock, and it all comes from a rich history of Disney movies, TV shows, and even their theme parks. Toy Box mode is where you can mix and match characters and objects. The playsets are true to their property, so you can't play as Sully fighting against Syndrome in The Incredibles. And personally, as an avid Disney fan, I'm kinda happy they kept the main games pure to their world. Now, a big part of the replay value here really does depend on how much you're personally willing to collect. By picking up additional figures and playsets, you can then load even more content into the game. As time goes by, Disney will announce more new characters and worlds. As of right now, there are 2 additional playsets available. One of them is dedicated to Cars, and the other one is for the Lone Ranger. Even standalone figures will add in new missions that only that character can unlock. Then there's something known as Power Discs. These come in 2 packs, and they're essentially little crystal-like chips that can be scanned into the Toy Box mode to give you even more content. Unfortunately, these come in blind bags, so it's very likely you're going to get doubles, which in my opinion is kind of a huge bummer. The Power Discs have 3 categories. There is objects, materials, and stat enhancements. So an object power disc might give you Abu the monkey as an elephant from Aladdin, and you can ride on top of him. I've also got an Astro Blaster's space cruiser from Disney World's Buzz Lightyear attraction, which is just, I don't know, too much fun. Materials, on the other hand, will alter the textures of your world. The lantern-filled sky from Rapunzel's birthday is kind of beautiful. I'm also pretty into the delicious theme of Wreck-It Ralph's Sugar Rush world. And then finally, the stat enhancements, which I think are arguably the least interesting, will give your character bonuses, like earning more coins, becoming invulnerable, or even stronger in combat. Now don't worry, because you can unlock a bunch of cool content for the Toy Box mode without buying any additional power discs. Currently, there are over 1,000 toys for the Toy Box mode, and you can even alter some of them by adding bigger wheels, shrinking them, souping them up with crazy weaponry, and more. I think it's safe to say that Disney Infinity brings replay value to a whole new level. So it might be kind of obvious, but I'm really enjoying Disney Infinity. It has the potential to be one of the coolest video games in the last 10 years. I really do believe that. But alternatively, it also has the potential to be a big disappointment. You see, there's one key ingredient that I feel Infinity is sorely missing. What is it? Well, actual Disney characters. A lot of the current and upcoming characters are from Pixar Studios. There's definitely nothing wrong with that, but the game has too much of a modern feel to it. I worry that Disney Infinity will only act as a vehicle to promote the company's latest projects and not a game that truly celebrates their rich history of amazing films and TV shows. I mean, just imagine a Peter Pan playset where you're soaring above the skies of Neverland, or maybe an extraordinary adventure with Alice where you're platforming and jumping across giant mushrooms in Wonderland, or even a playset based in Toontown where Mickey, Goofy, Donald, and Minnie get into all sorts of craziness. But most importantly, we really need a Peter Pan playset. I'm really good close friends with Peter Pan at Disney World, and I'm more than certain he's cool enough to be represented in the game. I really do love the current lineup of playsets and characters, but if Infinity never introduces figures and playsets from classics, I'll personally be greatly disappointed, and I don't think I'm alone in feeling that way. If you're still on the fence, I think it's okay to wait a little bit to see what kind of content comes out in the coming months and years. The idea of a single game that continues to expand and offer infinite content, all of which focuses on Disney, is something that really excites me. It's off to a good start, so let's see where it goes. The BitBlock is rewarding Disney Infinity with an 8.5 out of 10. Now seriously, we need a Peter Pan playset really bad. It would be amazing.